We're making a God game.
We're on a mission from God.
Actually, no. On a God game, you're not on a mission. You are God. In a God game, you're a deity. You don't control the little people directly. Instead, you influence them. You do this by creating miracles, by raising volcanoes, and maybe even smiting down the odd subject. It all depends on the kind of game you're playing and the kind of God you want to be. So this is the first devlog I've ever made, and I thought it would be a good chance to introduce myself. Hi, my name's Colin.
I live just outside Austin, Texas, with my wife and 2 kids. My daughter Valerie is helping me make this game. She's the artistic genius behind our graphics. We're aided by Mihai, a mysterious coder who's fixing bugs faster than I can create them. Let's just say he prefers to stay anonymous.
We've been working together as a team for a wee while now, and we actually have a playable prototype. But before I show you what we've created, let's take a look at what inspired us.
The first God game, Populous, hit the scenes way back in 1989, and I loved it. It was God versus God. You shaped worlds and coaxed your little people into overpowering all the followers of the other side. Then that same year, SimCity let you play mayor of a chaotic municipality, and soon after, Civilization had you making enemies and alliances. Both were awesome, but they were simulations and not really God games. What made Populous stand out was the feeling that the world was somehow autonomous. This world lived on its own, and you influenced it, but didn't control it directly. Eventually, Populous got a sequel. In a way, that marked the completion of the original game. What would come next shifted the whole God game concept in a new direction. When the final game in the series, Populous: The Beginning, crashed in at the decade's end, it introduced a new concept. It was in 3D, which was cool, but there was a shaman and a tribe. There was direct control. It gave your god something more to do, but I felt we lost something of what made the original God game so miraculous. That same approach led to perhaps the most ambitious God game ever created, Black and White. Like, why just be a god when you can have a pet? Moral choices, trainable creatures, and a world that judged your every move. It was a divine Tamagotchi with attitude. Many draw the line at this point and say this is when the God game genre died out.
Most of the God games that came after Black and White drifted a long way from the genre's roots.
We wanted to take it right back to the start, but the big addition here is multiplayer. Eventually we hope to have up to 4 players, but at the moment we've implemented the prototype with 2. So the first thing you gotta do is join a game, and you see that here. When you start, you're just presented with a solo follower in the middle of the screen, and they create a little tent. And the aim of the game here is to make flat land for your follower so they can expand the population and eventually overcome the other player. You can see that mana bar on the left hand side. It's got to get up to the level of the first mark for you to be able to raise or lower land. And it's by creating a flat landscape that you enable your player to grow. There are 2 players on this game, and they can be anywhere in the world. They don't have to be locally. That was the biggest challenge in setting up the prototype. So at the moment you can see Valerie and I, we're still pretty even. We're growing a castle at pretty much the same time. And that's because the dynamic hasn't really started yet. That's going to happen when you first spawn your followers, which we're seeing now. And then there's a bit of luck involved. You don't know which way the followers are going to go, but you want them to make more buildings so you can spawn more followers. The bigger your house type, the more followers you're going to spawn. So there's an advantage in getting to that castle as soon as possible, because that's when you really start to ramp up. Now, if you look at the top right of each screen, you can see there's like a circle. That shows you the relative strength of each side. In other words, how much population each side has. On the top left, we have some debug information. That's just for development. That's not going to be in the game. So now you can see the blue god on the right has really zoomed out, and it's possible to zoom out to see the whole planet. And you can see that he's built a bridge across to the other side. So that was kind of foolish because his player score was lower, but really by sheer chance, he's managing to win a few battles, and you're seeing some little followers have a go at it. They're actually male and female followers. So at the moment it's fairly even. We got blue and red pretty much at the same level. They're growing at a similar pace. If you look on the left of the blue player, you see that another option has opened up to them. So they can now do what we call absolute war. And that's where all the buildings just disappear and all the little followers all head towards each other and scrap it out. They've triggered absolute war now. So all the followers are going to pile into each other and scrap it out. And basically it should be whoever has the highest population is the one that's going to win. But there's chance involved. You don't know that for sure. It depends a bit on the way you've built up. So some followers are going to be stronger than others. If you've had a lot of castles, then the followers it spawns are going to be stronger than the followers that come out of tents. So you might find that you have fewer followers, but that the spread's better. Somehow it's more advantageous. And you can see blue starting to really pick up, and we're starting to see some action. Red's definitely in the descendancy. It's a bit surprising because they started off with more followers before we went into Absolute War. But that's where we are. That's what's happening. Eventually your mana will deplete, and because you haven't got any population growing, you won't get any new mana. So there's got to come a point where you just can't do anything anymore. And I want to say this is a prototype. This is our first attempt. This is just there to try and get your feedback, get your ideas going. Like, what else could the gods do? Would it be fun to smite down a follower? Would it be fun to, I don't know, cause an earthquake? Is that something you want to do? Maybe we can make floods part of the game. So if you put all your followers on a low level, they get wiped out, but the ones in the higher level exist through the flood. And we've got an ideas board on ideas.godcomplex.cc. If you put that into your browser, you can actually share your ideas with us and vote on them. So you can ensure that your favorite idea for a God game gets brought into the game. So you've seen the prototype, why not play it? We're making the prototype available for just a few people at the start. So head on over to godcomplex.cc and play the game.